now.
Starts at 8 a.m. and you can stream it live at KFAN.com/watch, powered by Quantum Fiber.
This is KFAN News with Chris Hockey, presented by the St. Paul Saints.
In for Chris Hockey, I'm Zach Halverson. Good morning. This is the news. Thank you to the St. Paul Saints. We are coming up on Wednesday at Bernie's. You can get more details at saintsbaseball.com. A boy was hit by an SUV while riding a bike with his dad on July 4th in Maplewood. Bystanders came to the rescue and pulled the boy from under the car. He was taken to the hospital. His current condition is unknown. The incident occurred at the intersection of White Bear Avenue North and Highway 36 late at night. The boy and his father were crossing the intersection when the SUV struck him, pinning him and the bike underneath. The father and the bystanders lifted the vehicle and freed the child. Crazy story.
That's awful.
That sucks.
Terrible.
Police say a high-speed crash set off fireworks inside a car and started a fire that killed the driver in St. Paul. Authorities say the vehicle left the road last night at Wilson Avenue and Howard Street and hit a tree and a light pole. The car caught fire and fireworks inside started to explode. Police say the high rate of speed factored into the crash. No one else was in the car.
That story got worse as you told it.
That was some Final Destination type stuff. Yeah, that's crazy.
So might want to keep the speed down, I guess, if you're transporting fireworks.
Yeah.
Some better news, I guess. Minneapolis is making a bid to host the Sundance Film Festival in 2027 and beyond, offering $2 million in annual support. The city's vibrant arts and entertainment scene, diverse cultural heritage, and passionate film community make it an ideal location for the prestigious festival.
I did see that yesterday.
Heck yeah,
Sweet,
hope we get it.
Yeah,
that'd be
really
awesome.
cool.
Have Sundance here?
Yeah, there's so many good movies that premiere there that don't premiere for like a year or months afterwards. It'd be awesome. And there's
Isn't the reason, though, that it's called the Sundance Film Festival is because it takes place at Sundance Resort in Utah? Is this the same
Is it Sundance Resort in Park City?
Yeah, that's why it's called the Sundance Film Festival.
Oh, I thought
Is this the
Sundance
same-
was just named after a production company that puts it on.
Yeah.
Okay, you are right.
Well, I don't know.
But it takes place at Sundance Resort. It is. The Sundance Film Festival is an annual film festival organized by the Sundance Institute. It's the largest independent film festival in the United States. But I don't know if this is just a massive coincidence, but it takes place at the Sundance Resort in Utah.
Oh. I don't know.
And that
Right?
contract expires in 2026.
So, I mean, that would be sweet. Like Maxo said, man, there are a lot of... I mean, film festivals are a huge deal.
Yeah.
People love that stuff.
And Minneapolis is a great art scene. So.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And there'll be tons of celebrities in town too. That'd be awesome. to
Bonus,
see.
this would be something you would go to, correct?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, this is right up your alley.
Although the contrast to all this is the thing that's funny and ironic about it is like we're putting this bid in for Sundance Film Festival, but on the larger scale, we used to make a lot of movies in Minnesota, and a lot of TV shows, but we got rid of this stupid tax rebate credit thing, and so now it's way too expensive. Like we're not enticing the Hollywood people to come here and make movies like they used to make movies. So it's like, I don't know, like you want this film festival, but the state itself they're not friendly to the industry.
Right. Yeah.
So I could see Sundance being like, get bent.
Yeah, get
Like,
bent.
like you're not even friendly to us. Like we used to love making movies and like giving you guys propping up your economy through the entertainment industry, and you guys push us away.
Yeah. Get bent. Bonus, your thoughts?
That'd be a great podcast name, by the way. Get Bent.
Get Bent with Tommy Olson and Zach Halvy.
Well, especially, I mean, this one also, they mentioned, well, we're throwing in about $2 million. to be able to try and draw them in as part of this. And that's similar to the loss of revenue that you get from giving a tax break on that. But I actually agree with you, Ben. Like the idea that we're somehow losing money by giving a tax break to film companies that are never going to be here otherwise.
Right.
So you're not getting any tax money from them to begin with. This seems a little silly.
I know it's why would you push away an industry that wants to actually spend money here? And then the way I understand it is like you have to employ a certain percentage of people that are local anyway.
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah.
We have this very robust art scene and production scene, and there's a lot of creatives that live in the area. Yeah. Okay, employ them.
Yes,
employ some of them, even if it's just like the lighting and the technical stuff. And then they're spending money when a crew is here making a movie for 3 months.
Yeah,
they're spending money in your economy.
Right.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
I agree.
Yeah, well said, Zach.
We'll have to talk to Corey about this on Thursday when he's back. But and by the way, he will be back on Thursday.
Why?
Oh no.
No day 3 for Corey, unfortunately.
Oh.
That sucks, but
Thought he was going to pull through this time.
me too. Sin City, that's Las Vegas, Nevada, is seeing the hottest day
I
ever.
saw this.
Las Vegas hit 120
Is that
degrees
while he's there?
on Sunday. Yes.
He was there.
The hottest temperature ever recorded in the city. The previous record of 117 was hit 5 previous times, most recently in 2021. The National Weather Service says dozens of daily record temperatures will be tied or broken across the West Coast this week as temperatures remain in the 110s. Last month, nearly 24 people were hospitalized in Las Vegas for pavement burns.
Wow.
That's compared to just 3
I would be inside.
people.
Yeah, how do you have animals in that weather,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Poor puppies.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
This is a story that is not funny or interesting, but I'm going to tell it anyway. I was lucky enough to play Shadow Creek, one of the best golf courses out there in Las Vegas. The name it's not because there's a bunch of shadows. It was 112.
Jeez.
It's hideous. There's no shade.
Yeah, that
but,
Vegas heat is so bad, too.
That 8 degrees more sounds like hell on earth. 120? Ick. No, too much.
One of the patients, a 59-year-old man, suffered burns to 7% of his body.
My God.
That seems like a large...
He passed out. So he passed out from the heat and fell onto the pavement and got the burns.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
It's like The Hangover. They found
right. That's a great film, man. The first Hangover is such a good movie.
It's such a classic.
Every scene is funny. Every single scene is funny. Yeah.
The first 2 are great. The third one's
the third one's
not
the
good.
third one's
It's not
terrible.
good.
Yeah.
Target will soon stop accepting personal checks as payment. The retail giant says starting July 15th, stores will still accept cash and digital wallet payments along with the debit and credit cards. But Target said the decision was due to extremely low volumes of checks being written.
I'm not going to lie. I did pay my Target bill by check up until like 6 months ago.
Writing checks.
Don't ask me why.
Writing checks
Don't ask
sucks.
me why, but I
My
did.
dad loves writing checks, but he's 74.
It's like the only thing I used my checkbook for.
I don't have it. I don't know if I have checks. I don't remember the last time I wrote a check. Because when I first got checkbooks, I just assumed once you wrote it, the money was gone. And I'm like, well, I'll just spend more than I have. Classic me. But like, you pay for it like automatically out of your credit card or your bank account. You don't pay for it with a check.
Yeah. We still use checks every once in a while because there are those like, the links that you get sent and like it doesn't work. And you're like, I don't want to call with my credit card information, which I don't know what's safer or not. Like sending a check with all of your account and routing number.
Yeah, that's real bad.
Yeah. I don't know why that's always has been open for everybody just to have, but
no, that's not
writing
good.
checks sucks.
Yeah, I know. Bonus, do you write checks?
Barely. As little as I possibly can. When I have to pay something, especially for the business, which you have business checks for, I will always take the electronic option just because it's a pain in the butt to mail anything.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
right? Like that's the one I am annoyed by having to put stuff on an envelope to take that 45 seconds.
I'm not doing that.
Terrible.
I barely even cash checks. I can't write them.
Sunday set a new single-day screening record for the Transportation Security Administration. Over 3 million people were screened on the Sunday following the 4th of July holiday nationwide, surpassing a record of 2.99 million set a few weeks prior. More people flew in an airplane in a single day in the U.S. on Sunday than any other day in history since the TSA was founded in 2001.
Wow.
I was in an airplane on Sunday.
Yeah. Chaos at the airport?
It actually wasn't too bad. It was a red-eye flight, so we landed on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, the beauty, though, man, is like, if you, like, there's a couple major holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving Day, which Christmas Day is kind of chaos at the airport because there's a lot of people that are like, all right, we did the whole Santa thing, we're getting out of town. The best day to fly is 4th of July. Kelly and I, because we had to work the next Friday, Kelly and I flew back last year out of Chicago on the 4th of July, and I'm not making this up. I bet you there were 15 people in the airport.
No way.
It was dead.
I think I did the same thing a couple years ago, and it was
nobody is, because why would you fly home on the 4th unless you have to work the next day? And we did the show on the 5th. It was dead. There were like there were more workers than there were people in the actual airport.
Yeah.
Incredible time to fly. Great stuff.
I wonder how it's going to happen. I wonder what's going to happen next year, if there's going to be more or less with the 4th of July on a Friday.
Oh, my God. That'll be chaos.
Oh, it's going to be, it could be chaos, or maybe people are like, well, I don't need to rush to get there on the 3rd or 4th because we have the whole weekend.
Yeah,
I'll
that's a
fly
very
in
good
on Friday night or Saturday morning.
Yeah, the traffic on Wednesday to go up north where we were going was horrible for about an hour. It was tough.
I'm already looking forward to next 4th of July.
4th of July.
It's the best.
When we come back, Maxo will run us through sports final segment for bonus, and we will move on, and then Rosie will be here about 7:40. Bye.
The Fan.com. You're listening to The Fan.
Welcome back, Power Trip Morning Show. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning here in the Twin Cities. Dad and Dad will be back on Thursday. We go to Detroit Lakes on Friday. It's the Zach, Max, and Sauce show one more time tomorrow. We have a pretty loaded dais. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Dais? For tomorrow, we have the three of us. Parrish will show up at 5:30. Maxo is going, or Zacho is going to do. We'll do some form of Duel of the Decades.
Sweet.
Tommy is going to come in at 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow.
Greasy.
And then Barb will join us 7:30 to 9 tomorrow.
Oh,
so
man.
it should be fun.
I'll just straighten up.
Yeah,
7:30 to 9.
Tomorrow will be super fun. But Maxo,
Put my suit and tie on.
yeah, we might have to wear suit and ties tomorrow. But Maxo is going to run us through sports in our final segment with our good pal Johnny Bonus.
Yes, sir. Let's start with something we haven't talked about today. Go ahead, Zacho.
It's time for Fan 5 on the Power Trip, presented by All Around Property Preservation.
Thank you, All
to
Around.
All Around. UConn and men's head basketball coach Dan Hurley have agreed to a 6-year, $50 million contract through the 2029 and 2030 season, which that just sounds so futuristic.
Yeah.
I know it's only like 6 years away.
When the Wolves gave up a 31st first round, 2031 first round pick.
I see like flying cars in my head when I say 2030. I know we're so far from that. But that makes him one of the nation's highest paid college coaches just a little over a month after he turned down a lucrative offer to coach the Los Angeles Lakers, which supposedly was more money.
than that.
Which was what, $70 million?
Yeah, I think it was like $10 million more or something like that.
I'm telling you, if it had been 25-year-old LeBron, he would have said yes in a second. He doesn't want to deal, and I know I'm the only one that keeps harping on this. He doesn't want to deal with having to play Bronny when Bronny isn't good enough to play in the NBA, but he's forced to play him because that's what LeBron wants. He's the 55th overall pick, and he's already has a guaranteed contract, which is ridiculous. He scored 4 points in a summer league game.
Yeah, and it was on ESPN's ticker. They're like, Bronny James debut, 4 points.
I'm sure that had a part of it. I mean, $20 million more is a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to say no to. But he knows it's LeBron's team, and LeBron dictates all of it.
And the Lakers stink anyways.
Yeah, they're bad.
They're bad with LeBron,
bad.
and then in 2 years they're going to be even freaking worse because he's going to retire, and they're only going to have Bronny.
Correct.
So I don't blame Dan Hurley one bit. Plus, he's got a dynasty going there at UConn.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I would much rather deal with everything that's going on in Stores, Connecticut, than the drama that's going to ensue in Los Angeles with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And he'll get another NBA coaching offer at some point.
Of course.
For a team
for
that
sure.
won't be as difficult to coach as this one.
100%.
So,
They'll come calling every single year. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Plus, if you lose a game as UConn, no big deal.
Right.
You lose a game on the LA Lakers, you're
Everybody hates
opening
you.
up First Take. Stephen A's yelling about you, calling for your job and everything.
Speaking of that, did you see the contract he might get?
Dude.
No, $100 million?
5 years, $125 million.
Yeah. I read there was like some bonuses that brought
That's
it up to
just
50,
so
150 million.
How did you do that, John?
I'm like, dude.
He has to be the highest paid employee they have.
Easily.
It might be Buck and Aikman.
Yeah.
Don't they make 20-something million a
It
year?
might be Pat McAfee.
It's McAfee.
McAfee makes $25 million a year.
I don't know. If
He makes a lot.
Well, he's
makes
got
a lot.
he was making a lot before he even signed.
You know,
But I think
needs
he's got to
him.
Yeah.
pay his people too, so it's
Yeah.
kind of one of those things.
I mean, in both cases, they're not really employees, right? Like they're at the point now where they're independent contractors that are producing their own show, that sort of own their own show, or at least that's the case with McAfee, right?
For sure.
He developed this before ESPN, right?
Yes.
He was essentially a complete free agent on this.
Yeah,
stuff.
good
So-
point.
I would imagine ESPN called him, and he did
Right.
not the
Oh,
other
for
way
sure.
around.
100%.
Exactly.
Because that YouTube, with him doing it on YouTube, he was making a bleep ton of money already.
And there was multiple bidders. I mean, he talked about it just openly on his show, like NBC, ESPN. They all, wanted him. Obviously, ESPN bid the most, but it's and to their credit, I mean, they have not
It's unedited.
completely
Yeah,
unedited.
it's
They let him
unedited.
do his thing.
It's the
Yeah.
same
and he
show.
fires off sometimes on the ESPN execs themselves.
Yeah,
but
literally.
he's that big that he's
Right?
bulletproof.
Here's the
man.
thing
He's
I love
untouchable.
that I love about Stephen A. Smith and who's the other guy we were just talking about?
McAfee.
McAfee is they're themselves, man.
Yeah.
They're who they are.
Right.
I love that. They've never changed, and it's worked, and they get paid.
But especially like McAfee's show, like if he signed a contract with a company that didn't allow him to do that, that's not his show anymore. I mean, like
Correct.
that's
Right.
what his
Yeah.
show is all about, is
Yeah.
him kind of going off the handle, being a little unhinged, voicing his opinions.
Swearing.
Yeah, swearing. Like, you
Saying
take that
crazy
away, it's
stuff
not
about
the Pat
Caitlin Clark.
McAfee
yeah,
show.
that was
Yeah.
But it's interesting because ESPN has a history of sort of suppressing that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, ESPN is Patrick and Oberman, like they deliberately tried to say these guys are too popular.
Yeah,
they can
which
hold
is
us random too
ridiculous.
much. We need to just be able to plug people in. The important part is ESPN, not the personalities. And now ESPN feels like they're pivoting to. And the difference is, I think, is that one is an employee that you can kind of control their airtime, and the other is, I've got my own show, and you don't control my airtime. I've got other.
Oberman he's a psychopath.
When he
Stuff
was
aside, he is a psychopath.
when he was a host, though,
He was
sports,
A+.
he was
Him and Dan
fantastic.
Patrick, A+.
But they talked about, Dan and Keith talked about just what Bonus was talking about, where ESPN did not like them doing their own thing. They did not like the catchphrases. They didn't like Stuart Scott.
that's
They
what made
wanted
it
them
great.
to
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
They wanted them to fall in line, and eventually Dan and Keith kind of changed that whole mindset when they got the ratings, when they got the numbers. And nowadays with Pat McAfee, he doesn't need ESPN.
Right.
He was his show
Nor
was
does Stephen A. to be
correct.
honest.
Well,
Yeah.
the difference is YouTube, right?
Correct.
If Patrick and Oberman had a channel like that where they could,
Oh, my God.
where they could hold that as leverage, it would have been a totally different story back in the 90s. The truth is now that you've got your own distribution channels and your own ability to reach an audience outside of that of the major networks, you get to call the shots a lot more. You've got a lot more leverage.
And we
But
know
I
that
feel
for a
like
fact.
Sports media, I feel like, is changing a lot and for the better because, I mean, it's not so buttoned up as it used to be. Like, they're letting these anchors and broadcasters have personalities.
You have to.
Drop some swear words, some light swear words here and there. I mean, think about, like Shaq and Chuck on TNT, right? Like, just like, that is comedy gold. Pat McAfee and all these guys who it's like, okay, I feel like I'm watching TV with my friends at home, not watching like a broadcaster like tell me what's going on. It's like, oh, they're making jokes, they're having fun with it, and I think that's great. I think more broadcasters and more companies should do that.
So in my experience, being on a little bit of the inside when I was doing the Fox Sports stuff, back in the day when I used to call college football games, when we would go to the big meeting out in Los Angeles, it was everybody was in there, the NFL side, the college football side, and all the executives, and we would have any corporate sort of like kickoff meeting, and they would specifically say. And this is how sort of archaic and how far we've come. And I'm guessing that ESPN was even worse because Fox Sports has always been known to be a little bit more loose when it comes to their approach. But they were saying even at the time, like, you're not bigger than the game. Mm-hmm. Like, you as a broadcaster, you're not bigger than the game. Don't make this about yourselves.
Meat
right?
sauce.
And the funny thing is they're like, nobody's tuning in to see you. They're tuning in to see the game. Well, where I think even people were kind of like disagreeing even at the time because they were seeing where sports media was going. It's completely flipped now.
I mean, it even, you go back to, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you go back to Madden and Summerall. Right. They were ahead of their time.
Right.
You tuned in because Summerall was the straight-laced, just the facts, and he was excellent at play-by-play, and you never knew what Madden was going to say. Madden was the weird uncle. Madden was the court jester.
Right.
And you need that. You need the straight guy, and then you need just the wacky guy.
The balance is
And the thing is,
that's what they were.
It was so bizarre to hear the Fox executives say that because they built basically their whole model based on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They would applaud the fact that Madden was like that, and he had these catchphrases, and people wanted to hear what he had to say next. They would show highlights of him. They would show highlights of their pregame show with Kirk and Halvy and all those guys. And that's a nonsense show. You actually, if you listen and if you read a transcript of what those guys say, it is like the worst insightful football stuff that you can. It's like they don't even know who's playing.
Right.
They're saying the most generic things about these matchups and these previews. It's more about their personalities and how they say it and the bantering and the joking. So it's like they talk out of both sides of their mouths. And now people are tuning into Stephen A because they want to see this caricature of this person go on a rant about something. They want to see McAfee go on a rant about something and just be no holds barred. Like sports, to Alexis, to your point, people are tuning in because it's supposed to be entertaining.
Yeah. Right. And it's helping, I think, bring in the casual fan, right? Because for so long, I think sports sometimes in general can be a little gatekeep because it's like if you don't know the sport inside and out, know the players, know the coaches, know the history, it's kind of like, oh, you almost don't fit in sometimes. And sports media nowadays is making it easier for people to get into sports, whether you watch sports all the time or watch it every now and then, whether you have a favorite team or a favorite league. And I mean, it's even helped someone like me who grew up watching just hockey. I didn't care about any other sport until I was like in college, honestly. And now it's like, I watch everything. I want to tune into everything. I want to know what's going on in every league with every player. And it's making it easier to do that when these broadcasters have this fun approach to it. And I try to bring that approach to games I broadcast. I don't want it to be like, I'm telling you what's going on. Right. I want it to be like, let's have a conversation. Let's make a joke. Let's have some fun. Let's laugh a little bit. And I think people in general, sports fans appreciate watching games like that. It's just, it should be fun. Sports are fun. They're awesome. That's, it's when I was in college and going to school for broadcasting, I always said I didn't want to do news because news to me was boring. I wanted to do something fun and sad. Yeah. Sports are supposed to be fun. And I think it should be broadcasted that way. I think it should be absorbed that way by fans. And we're moving more and more in that direction with everything media is doing.
There are very good broadcasters, play-by-play broadcasters who can call a sound game but it's almost like they're just reading a box score out loud.
Yeah, right.
And I think we're getting away from that now.
Yeah.
And you almost it's almost expected that. And that's, one thing. Joe Buck, we just was in the Hall of Fame now, I guess, and had a great acceptance speech. Guardsy tweeted it out the other day. But that's one thing that he's
great.
He used to be,
and I hated him.
Yeah. Because he was, and he would even admit he was really going for like the Summerall, straight edge, no excitement. But now he's really turned it around. He's becoming funny. Everybody's evolving. Everybody's having fun. And what a great time to be a sports fan.
And lastly, bonus before you head out for the day, Gleeman and the Geek, the best podcast ever. But you guys have talked about on your podcast that even the Twins broadcast has added. I mean, Marty last night was A+, but they've even added there's more to it. It's more up to date. It isn't, as you guys have said, they don't lead with batting average anymore. It's slugging and all that.
They've taken great great, huge changes compared to where the Twins broadcast was maybe 15, 20 years ago, where it was Bert Blyleven saying sort of the same thing, keep it low in the zone.
Who says the same thing over and over again?
I'm not trashing Bert. I'm just saying after a while, it's hard to do the same job 162 times a year for 10 years in a row and not fall back on some crutches at some point. And what we're seeing now is, they're mixing it up a lot. You'll see Justin Morneau, you'll see Glenn Perkins, you'll see, switching that up. And then I think the focus has also just, with this new front office, and I think with the rise of, analytics in baseball overall, you're just seeing more detail, more drilling down into those baseball games themselves. You're talking about specific at-bats. Here's what they're thinking. Here's the pitch that's coming. And, you do gain insight and you do learn about the game that way.
And I think part of it is getting rid of this guise of everyone has to be objective. It's no, I'm rooting for the Minnesota Twins. I am the Twins broadcaster. Right. If you're Brian McAfee, I played for the Colts. I want the Colts to win. Yeah. And back in the day, because now we have access to we can just Google the stats. We have access to all the numbers and everything like that. But back in the day, you didn't. So I understand why the announcers were like, hey, here's the stats, here's the records and all this and that. But nowadays, people we have that. We have a million robots and AI that can give us that. We want personality, which is kind of like the rise of all this, playlists that are generated and all this stuff. You're finding that's why podcasts are still popular, because people want human interaction. People want to feel like they're interacting with their friends, like you said, Alexis.
I'm glad you said that, because I will never forget when I was in college, I had somebody that I went to school with who was kind of a little older than me, kind of a mentor, said to me at one point, because I'm a sports fan first, I always say that. Before a broadcaster, I was a fan of the game. And I remember he told me, you can't be a fan and a broadcaster. And I was like, no, to hell with that. I'm going to be a fan and a broadcaster. And I think some of the broadcasters, like you mentioned, that are the best at their job are the ones that show their favoritism. They have a rooting interest in certain players, in certain teams, in certain whatever, and that makes it fun. And you can disagree with who they're rooting for. You can say, no, I want your team to lose.
But
or
that makes it fun, too, because it still makes it personal.
Exactly,
take that, Tony Romo, you bastard. Yeah.
He sucks. He's terrible.
There's a guy in Minneapolis, the voice of the Vikings.
Exactly what I was going to say.
What's his name?
He's great at it. The whole broadcast team, and I know Ben doesn't like when we talk about Ben, because that's what makes Ben great. That whole broadcast team is incredible at what they do. It's awesome to listen to.
So much fun.
And that includes you.
Ben. We say that knowing what the other broadcasts sound like.
LeBron James tweeted about it, man. That's how that Buffalo game, all of it. You guys did hockey, producing it, you on the sidelines, the whole bit.
Abbott.
That should be in the Smithsonian. That's how good that bit was. I'm not kidding. That was excellent. Oh, of course, Swedberg.
So it is interesting, because I was actually just talking to this college student over the weekend, and she was like, I'm going to take a course in sports journalism next year. And I'm like, I'm fascinated what they teach in college now when it comes to sports journalism, because it's not the same as it was even 5 years ago.
Right.
What are they teaching these young kids, what they think at the collegiate level and what they think the world is, to prepare them for that? Because I have to think that know your sport, but to your point again, Alexis, be entertaining.
Right. Yeah.
Don't get focused on stats and this and that, and you got to be polished, and you got to be, so concise with every single word. Yes, there's a formula to how the broadcast partner and the chemistry works, but for the most part, it's let's just hang out as if we're sitting on the couch and have fun with it,
right?
Yeah.
And be entertaining. That's what sports broadcasting and journalism, and the same thing with when it comes to writing. Nobody wants long form writing.
Nobody
wants to sit down with the Sports Illustrated and read a 7-page deep dive into some team or this player. They want bullet points. They want quick access. They want to be done reading in 30 seconds.
Just to tack onto that real quick, Ben, I had a lunch this weekend with somebody who's a comedy major at DePaul University, right?
Wait, what?
I know. That's a cool major.
I picked the wrong profession.
But what she was really interested in, beyond sort of the, hey, show your personality, that sort of thing that you kind of just talked about, was let's talk about the business side of it. How do you build a podcast? How do you reach an audience?
Right.
What do the economics look like that? If I start up a website and I want to just feature my own stuff, what do I do? What does that, what's the technical setup that you guys have? A lot of it is beyond, frankly, since the whole industry is moving towards decentralization, you've got to emphasize, hey, be your personality in such a sports journalism. You also have to say, hey, I have to know enough about the business and what's going on underneath here because I might have to do this on my own for a while. Mm-hmm. And when I have to do it on my own for a while, I'm going to be promoting myself on social media or on podcasts or whatever. I need to know how to do this stuff. And that is a focus. They've got a, podcasting 101 course at her case, at her college. So,
bonus, you're the best. Speaking of podcasts, where can we hear yours?
Gleaming in the Geek. Just Google Gleaming in the Geek. It's real simple.
They should have you speak to that class, John.
He's done pretty good.
Also, Twins Daily's own coverage, Hockey Wilderness, all the local sports sites. So.
Thank you, John. You're the best. Bye.
Bye.
Mark Rosen is here for his one day of the week, and I'm glad he's here because we got a lot to talk about with Rosie.
The Fan. Man.
Hailed as the nicest man in stand-up, 2021 Grammy-nominated comedian Nate Bargatze is headed to the State Fair Grandstand. See him on the Be Funny Tour when he takes the stage on Saturday, August 24th. Limited tickets are still available. For more info and to secure your tickets today, head over to KFAN.com. Keyword, calendar.
Trip Morning Show. Roser is back. Hi, Rosie.
Hi, Saucy. You're holding down the fort, me boy. No, not surprised.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You just said off the air that you flew on the 4th of July and there was nobody there.
I heard you guys talking about it. Went to a family wedding out in Tribeca, New York, and it was, going to the airport was like, hey, there's nobody here.
Yeah, it's sweet.
It was great. And we were just talking off air. Flew into Newark, which was, I haven't flown into Newark in years and years and years. What a sweet airport. You think of New Jersey and think,
I don't think I've ever been.
Suck. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was really
better
nice.
than LaGuardia.
What airport do you guys find when you go for the Vikes?
Newark. Yeah, because
I mean, that makes sense.
I don't know. I think everybody knows this at this point in time, but there's not a New York team. They're both based in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Both headquarters are in New Jersey. The stadium's in New Jersey. It's sort of a misnomer to call them the New York anything, the Jets or the Giants, because they have no affiliation with the city or the state.
Yeah, because it's the only place they could probably find enough land.
Yeah, the land is way cheaper.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But so we always fly into Newark. We stay, the last couple times I feel like we've stayed really nice hotels, like right on the Hudson, right on the water. Mm-hmm. And it's been great. And then it's just kind of a short commute north to the big stadium.
Yeah.
But you don't actually go into the airport, right? You guys just hop off the plane, go right into the bus.
Correcto.
Those guys are much different when you're chartering.
Yes. We've got, I think the number of buses increases every year because the staff just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But it's like 5 or 6 of those big coach buses just waiting for us right when we land and you just walk down the stairs and get on the bus and off you go.
I've always felt that and a lot of NFL players, once their careers are over, wouldn't know how to A, check into an airport or B, check into a hotel. Because literally, you get off the bus.
Ben still has trouble.
You get off the plane. You get on the bus. You go to the hotel. The keys are waiting for you. They hand you your room key. You don't have to check in. You don't have to leave a credit card. You don't have to go through all that rigmarole. You go up to your room and then same process after the game.
I think
you go to a dinner.
Well, let's be honest.
Then you have meetings. Then you have a dinner, and then you have
that's not the
try and go blind. Incognito window.
Yeah. Coaches included.
Yeah.
That's not the only thing in life.
Wow.
Well, I've got stories. There's some coaches that try to blind themselves. Every road trip.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Holy cow! What did I just say?
Oh,
that's not the only area of life that football players or professional athletes have a hard time adjusting to because we are
of course not.
It's so pampered. You're so pampered. I mean, you don't do anything.
I mean,
they take care of everything for you.
I would bet that they've collected passports already for that London game.
Oh, that's probably coming soon.
They're asking for them anyway.
Of course. They collect them. They hand them all out. The players don't even have to deal with it.
Oh my gosh. It's so,
they're collecting them now.
So slick. When we would travel, we've traveled to London the last couple of times. Yeah, you might have to give up your passport information, and you give your passport, weeks in advance. But that customs process, the way that the operations team has that so dialed in, I mean, it is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
so it
great
does. I mean, you are trying to figure out customs for what, 150 people?
Yeah.
So it is, it's a process, and they work really hard at it, and it's so seamless. Like the last trip that we went on, everybody was like applauding them, like, thank you so much. Like, you're handling logistics in a foreign country, and they handled it so beautifully. So, but yes, to your point, Rosie, guys don't know how to do anything. I mean, you get done with baseball players, they have to have it way worse. They travel so much more.
Except that baseball players get, I don't know if football players get per diem money. They get cash actually handed to them.
No.
Baseball players go on there, they're making millions of dollars, most of them are, and you get, I don't know, 160.
Well, Parrish talked about that. Parrish said the worst part when he quit was not getting off a plane and being handed like $400 by the stewardess.
You know what, though? I think that why am I forgetting this? I think we did get per diem because guys would gamble that. That'd be like they're gambling
on the plane normally.
Well, but isn't do guys go out? I mean, there's curfew, but isn't every meal provided at the hotel?
Yes. Yeah. If you wanted to, for the players and the staff, if you wanted to eat dinner when you land, and then you have breakfast, you have dinner and snack that the night before the game, and then breakfast the next morning. That's all provided.
Right.
But if you wanted to meet family and friends, you as a group or your buddies want to go out for dinner, a lot of guys will do that.
Well, especially if it's a night game.
Yeah.
Well, like the Twins last night in Chicago. They all have their favorite places to go.
Of course.
And they go out to dinner at such and such a place, and they have it all set up for lunch or whatever it might be, and then they got the game tonight. They'll go out afterwards because they don't have, like tomorrow. Although tomorrow's game's an afternoon game, I believe. But it's a pretty nice.
Well, don't the pitchers bring their golf clubs?
Yeah,
some pitchers
aren't pitching.
That was John Smoltz's bit.
Yeah,
he was so good that he got invited. Yeah, he got invited to play Augusta with Tiger on a day off, and he asked Bobby Cox, and he's like, "Yeah, but you have to be back." Mm-hmm. And they flew him and Tom Glavine flew private, played with Tiger. Jeez. Yeah, he had like a black book, and it wasn't for women. It was all these golf courses. John Smoltz is like the Tony. Why can't I say his name? Tony Soprano of that bit. Like anybody who wanted to play any golf course, you had to go through John Smoltz. He played all over. I'm sure he's played every, and he's like a +2 or 3. He's legit. Oh yeah. He might be the best retired pro athlete at golf. He's that good. Yeah, that was Smoltzy's bit. Yeah, he loves it. He loves playing golf. Yeah.
Oh, what do you guys like? You guys like tight? Smoltzy? You guys talk all the time?
No, but he did I forgot. It was like he's like big with like USGA golf, and during one of the US Opens, they did like a half-hour interview with him, and it's fascinating. He has a great golf.
Was he playing all those charity
all of them?
Athletes?
Yeah, and he's was just about to win his course championship. Regular one, not the senior tour. He was, but yeah. So yeah, he's really good. I don't know why I know so much about John Smoltz.
You guys are BFFs.
Anyway,
it's time for Vikings news on the Power Trip, presented by
Redco, your truck accessories pro.
Rosie, over the weekend, 4th-round pick Kyrie Jackson passed away in a car accident along with 2 of his high school teammates. Very, very tragic situation in Maryland.
Yeah, when I first read it, online, like a lot of people, I mean, it's one of those situations where, please tell me they're making this up. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, what heinous type of person would do that? This can't be true. And then there's obviously, within minutes, there were reputable sources that were reporting it. And, I mean, it's just another reminder about, drinking and driving and everything that happens to it. But it's just hearing more about this young man's life behind the scenes. I know Alec Lewis was on, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, with PA. Yeah.
And it's spent a considerable amount of time with Kyrie and is talking to his mom and the obstacles like a lot of these guys, have to overcome to get to that point to get drafted. And he was turning some heads. I mean, he was not forgetting the sheer shock and catastrophic idea that his life is gone. I mean, his future obviously as a football player, and where he was just scratching the surface and getting started, and all the things that young people dream of, whatever field you wanted to go into. I mean, it's just in seconds.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those, well, this puts things in perspective. I can't stand when people, it puts things in perspective. I mean, I don't need something this awful to put things in perspective for me about what life is all about. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, it's a gut punch in so many ways. Personally, his family is what they have to go through. I'm sure the Vikings are trying to figure out how they're going to deal with all the immediacy of dealing with the funeral and everything else that's going on. And but from a football standpoint, I mean, I don't know how else you try to honor the young man. He didn't play one snap here, and that's the tough part.
Sucks.
It is. I mean, it's just and. Looking at the pictures of that car,
oh my God!
I mean, it literally looked like a bomb hit it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looked like something out of a movie.
It did. It looked like I don't think I've ever seen anything in a movie that bad. Yeah. I mean, it was just gone,
horrible.
So, and his teammates, and the whole 9 yards. So, yeah, I mean, it's it speaks for itself. I mean, I kept thinking about it a lot this weekend. I mean, it just was one of those things where you go, man, every time you're on the road, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And obviously it's late at night and, all that kind of stuff. But the person responsible hopefully will be facing the most severe of charges, and that's all and that's not going to bring him back. So,
yeah.
Or his friends. So,
terrible.
That part of it. Yeah.
And as we talked about it an hour ago, I'm not trying to be crass at all, but like life moves on, right? Like they're not going to, they didn't stop the season when Corey Stringer died. You know what I mean? Like that's the sad part of it. Like the vets report to training camp 2 weeks from today, right? Like,
no, of course.
And they'll hopefully do a wonderful job to honor the guy. It's just, the whole situation sucks, man. It would have sucked the day after he was drafted or 2 days. I mean, the timing of it is never right. The timing of this is terrible, right? It's just, the whole thing sucks.
Yeah, and he got to know, I mean, I'm sure, Ben, a lot of his teammates got to know him a little bit and his personality, and listening to Kevin O'Connell's words about the way he lit up a room and everything. There was something different about this kid that sounded like he was really appreciative. And motivated, obviously not just to make the team, but make an impact at a position where he probably had a really good chance of making this football team.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been an awesome redemption story from, I think everybody's pretty familiar with his story at this point in time, but, for a guy to sort of, fall out of love with football, get reinvigorated, he sees some of his teammates where he grew up playing in the NFL, and it sort of like remotivates him to refocus his life. That's not easy to do. I mean, whatever situation you come from, and then you have to flip a 180, and do that on your own, and then have to switch schools to do that and kind of really find yourself. And then to hear, to your point, Rosie, about I think one of the reasons that when he got drafted, they said the reasons why they were like gravitating towards him, knowing that he had all these, because a lot of people are like, well, why would you draft this guy? Because we don't even know if he actually loves football. Like, what sort of investment are you going to get out of this guy that just might hit an obstacle and then just give up on the game and just like be like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. But they said the way he transformed himself in that time off, and then when he went for that 1 year at Oregon, they're like, his personality is magnetic.
Yeah.
To bring this guy in the locker room is like you're going to bolster the chemistry of the locker room and the defensive back room. So as much as his skills were there,
right,
he got applauded for his personality and his energy
in
and
a very short time,
and his love of life in a short amount of time. So it's unfortunate in a lot of ways, because I'm sure obviously his family and his friends and his loved ones saw that transition and change as well, and probably were really excited for him, regardless of football, to like turn his life around and look at life in a different way. So he'll never get to see what that really amounts to, because some irresponsible and ridiculous woman was driving drunk and killed him.
Yeah. Terrible, horrible situation. Leber, you are leaving?
Yeah, I gotta go.
What?
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I know. It's a Tuesday. It's a different day. I got
let me ask you one quick question I need you to answer quickly. Will we see Sam Darnold play in any preseason game?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think he has to.
I mean, I don't think he will because Kirk Cousins was new to the system and he didn't play.
Yeah, but you don't have $100 million investment in this guy.
Okay, you're probably right.
I'm going to ask you one question and you have to answer quickly. How excited for you for the Minnesota State Fair and the Raging Ball?
Zach, how much did Tommy pay you to ask that?
He Venmoed me $15.
Wow. I don't even want to ask what that is.
No, it's a new state.
Yes, you do not want to ask Rosie.
What is Rose?
Yes and yes. There's Zach.
Yeah.
Thanks, food.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
We'll come back. We'll talk about
Bye, Ben.
Marnie's unbelievable debut as the Twins play-by-play announcer.
Okay.
Wow, Rosie.
I'm just kidding.
And then we'll hear
Just
from her.
kidding,
She will
my
call
God.
in at 8:20 right here on The Fan.